Hello Internet, today is March 7th and we are recapping Sunday, March 4th. My name is James.
And I'm Greg.
And we're from the Gate of Life worship team, and this is your Gate of Life recap.
Lord, I come.
If you've ever missed a service and you want to see what we talked about or review the scripture or a summary of the sermon, you can check us out on YouTube at Gate of Life Bethel Lutheran, and you can also find us on Facebook at Bethel Lutheran, Rochester, Minnesota.
All right, so our first reading today was from Exodus, and it was concerning the Ten Commandments. Didn't so much as related to the movie The Ten Commandments later, but it was God's way of telling us how we should live our life in accordance with respect to Him and everybody else.
Right.
The first one is only have one God.
Yeah.
You know, we only need one God.
That's right.
You know, and then He lays the rest of them out from there. But that is the prime one that we should always live our life by. Do the right thing. You know, not everybody is perfect. We've talked about this.
Yes, we have.
You know, but do your best to honor these commandments that we've been given.
That's right.
You know.
Perfect. We continue on with the Gospel of John, talking about just when Jesus entered the temple. We get to see a little bit of anger from Jesus. He comes in and he sees the temple being used for like a marketplace.
Yep.
And so he fashions this whip and he chases out all the livestock and animals that are roaming through the temple. And then he starts flipping all the merchants' tables that were set up in the temple and reminds us that the temple was a place of worship. It's a holy space.
Right.
And when we choose not to use it that way, there are consequences. We'll get into that during the sermon, but that's what your gospel is today from John.
So today's children's word was entitled One. And Pastor Anjanette started off by asking the children that were assembled if they ever get angry or mad.
Yeah.
You know? And I think a couple of them raised their hand. I didn't look over, but I think a couple raised their hand. And then she kind of turned around and she went to the adults. How many of you get angry or mad? All the hands were up. You know, we talked about Jesus being angry in the marketplace. And she told the kids that the first commandment was broken when, you know, the marketplace was used for something other than teaching of the word.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, they were honoring more than one God.
Yep. The sermon today was called The Ten Commandments, not a suggestion. He opens up with a parenting thing that's going on now, like a class. And one of the big things with parenting is not to become like a policeman, right? Not just hand out punishment, but reinforce the expectations with consequences. God forgives us because He's a good father. You know, He moves on. However, He's not the type of parent that lets us go without consequences to our naughty behaviors.
Right.
He still loves us. He still forgives us. He doesn't hold us over our shoulders, but He still gives us the consequences.
Right.
You know, and that links into Jesus in the marketplace, right? That immediate consequence when Jesus comes in as a Messiah and notices that His Father's house is no longer being kept the way it's supposed to, and so He delivers the consequences. And that's flipping tables and chasing livestock.
Yep. You know, getting the things out that don't belong.
Yep.
You know, using it properly for what it was meant to be is a house of worship. She also went to actions and accountability. Mm-hmm. Everybody is accountable for their own actions.
That's right.
Because with that, consequences and expectations. So it's a hand-in-hand teaching.
In that same gospel talks about how God is a jealous God, right? And that comes into Him being the center of everything we do, either in our church place, our workplace, in ourselves as our temples to Christ. And some people see that as like, well, why is God a jealous God? You know, but it isn't so much that it's specifically 100% jealous, but that He is fiercely protective. Right. And that's exactly what Pastor Anjanette said, that He is a fiercely protective God in the fact that He knows that if we start looking other places for comfort, we are going to get hurt. It's like when you're growing up and you were hanging out with people that your parents didn't agree with. You might have seen it as like, well, just let me live my life. But our parents knew better. They knew that those people will probably
be a bad influence.
Bad influence. And God knows that. He is fiercely protective. He also does not tolerate, you know, anything else distracting us from what He's trying to do for us.
Right.
And she goes into the Ten Commandments and when that first happened, talking about it, how Moses was also angry. God's people weren't doing what was expected of him. He comes down from the mountain, as represented in the movie clip, which is awesome. 10 Commandments. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And he comes down. He notices that they've built a god of gold, lowercase g.
Yeah.
Yep. A god of gold, and they were worshiping him and dancing, and then they were engaging in all these other not okay situations.
Right.
And he doles out consequences, and it's pretty extreme. Like the movie shows a lot of like flames and like pyrotechnics and things blowing up, like the golden calf like disintegrated under the Ten Commandments.
Right. Fell into a huge crevice that opened up.
Yeah, and then she cut the film because it probably got a little bit too PG-13.
There's no freedom without the law.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we have freedoms, but those freedoms they eventually all come back to these 10 items that we've been given to live our lives by.
God never gives up on us. He is relentless in bringing us back to him because he knows that within him we are saved.
Right. Exactly. So it's a wonderful feeling to know that, as James said earlier, we have a good Father who loves us no matter what happens to us. But he'll draw us back. He'll pull us back to where we should be.
One last thing: if you are ever interested in coming and helping out the Gate of Life, either with vocal talents or instruments, even the strangest instruments, we love trying to incorporate new things, or helping out with slides, we have a meeting this Saturday at 9:30 a.m. in this room, in the chapel. So come join us at Bethel Lutheran Church and help us grow the Gate of Life, because we need you. We need your help in order for this to grow. So we invite you to be disciples of Christ. We will see you next week. And always remember, be salty, my friends. Bye.
Who spoke and taught the sun to rise? Whose lips proclaimed the birth of life?